Greetings, YouTube. Yes, Mandarin is with us again. Today I'll be reading... wow, that's a bad font for this light. Tina Fey's book, Bossypants, a #1 national bestseller. Amazing, absurdly, and hilariously funny, the Los Angeles Times. Yeah! Good book. Not amazingly, absurdly, deliriously funny. No, it wasn't. In fact, while I did smile at times in this book, I didn't find this book particularly funny at all, but I didn't read it for laughs. I read it because I wanted to understand more about Tina Fey. Now, for me, in the back it says memoir, so yes, it's a memoir more than a full autobiography. For me, Tina Fey was a figure that didn't pop onto my radar until Sarah Palin did. And to me, I didn't know she was ever on Saturday Night Live. I didn't know she was ever a comedian. I didn't know she was a writer. I didn't know she was the person in charge of a television series. I didn't know any of these things. She was just a celebrity that had hit my radar because of Sarah Palin, but lots of people seemed to like her. And since the Sarah Palin debacle, I'd seen her repeatedly in different contexts in the blog sphere and on YouTube and amongst Tumblr posts and things like that. So I'm like, okay, I found this for $1, you know, I'll read it and see if it's interesting. And in fact, it was interesting. I didn't know, for example, that she has a facial scar, a significant one. And she got it when she was a kid because someone attacked her. And how people react to that scar was fascinating. Some people never say anything. People think they're being bold and daring and ask right out. Some will make assumptions. One person a guy once asked her, he said, so did they ever catch the black guy that did it? She never mentioned what particular race the guy who did it was. It was a guy. So how people reacted to this scar in her face is an interesting litmus test, both for the reader and for her herself. She talks about the rigid structure that she was raised in. Her father was not a flexible man, and her household life was not pleasant. She talks about being in her early work with Second City Television, Second City Players, when she was on the road doing skits and such at different venues, and the sexism she encountered, where she was told flat out that a skit that had 2 women and no men would never play because no one wanted to listen to 2 women doing a sketch. She had adult people in the 20th century tell her that. It's astounding. She talked about her her relationships and her eventually blossoming into full adulthood. She was a late bloomer as far as relationships went. And talks about a lot about her early career in comedy and writing and in Saturday Night Live and all she learned from Lorne Michaels and the crew. So there was a lot of information in here. It's not a huge book. The font's fairly decent sized. I mean, it's not a small font. So, and it was a nice glimpse into the entertainment industry. It's a nice glimpse into her background. It was a heartbreaking glimpse into the sexism and misogyny of American entertainment. It was an interesting glimpse into the impact that her involvement in the whole political process during the Palin era was quite interesting. And she did have a remarkable resemblance to the woman, didn't she? Or does, I should say. That, frankly, I consider Tina Fey far more relevant to the 21st century than Sarah Palin is. Sarah Palin's a joke, folks. But it isn't what I would call a funny book. Interesting, entertaining, informative. I have a much better idea of who Tina Fey is now. And I may go out and read other of her books if I ever stumble upon them. I'm not going to go out and seek them out, I don't think, though. But I go to a lot of places. Who knows, I might stumble upon something in the future. So I do recommend this. Just don't go into this book thinking you're going to have side-splitting laughs, unless your sense of humor is different than mine. Maybe this book will hit your funny bone just right. I don't think it will, because I don't think a lot of this stuff was written for laughs. I think this is her being very honest. And a lot of her life experiences weren't particularly pleasant. A lot of them were just the kind of things that we all have, life. Some of them were funny, and I enjoyed those sections. But I think that this is an important book. I liked it, and I recommend it. But just don't go in expecting something that a blurb on the cover says. That's never a good policy.